One of 24 built. This tractor was on Chris Losey's channel. You can see that the water pump was done on it at one point in time. It's got an Oliver water pump put in it. 770. Little 105. It's owned by Thomas Steers. 1650. An 1850 gas, much like the one I just picked up. This one I believe is a little bit newer by serial number. It's got a side spear off of a 1750 that they graciously sharpied in 18 there. This one looks like it has the dual remotes hooked up. Mine just doesn't have the plumbing for it, and this still has the left side PTO like mine does. An 1855 with the Waukesha 310 turbo diesel. It's got the over under on it. I do know of a guy who has one of these locally, but I have not seen one outside of that. Are a couple of nice 60s, a standard, a row crop, and a WD-45. A nice 70. Then a early 88. Tell that by the small pedals back there and the full frame stripe. Usually if they're the later ones, they cut off right about there. Super 55, owned by Daryl Gertner and family. It's up to 57. Another 70. An 880 gas with the power booster. I think I've only seen a handful of these tractors with the power booster. It doesn't seem, I don't seem to find too many in my area anyway. 66 standard. This tractor's a 52. So it looks like, yeah, see the stripe does go all the way back on this, but I'm not sure if it's supposed to on the 52s. I know by 53 they didn't. Another 60 standard. An Oliver HG 42 crawler. Now I have not seen many of these Oliver crawlers around. I've seen what I believe probably are the newer ones, the OC series, the OC4 and OC6, but I have not seen one of these before. Kind of an interesting looking rig. Looks like they painted the drawbar on that guy. Super 88 gas. I'm wondering, oh, it looks like it is the improved Super. It's got the Oliver embossed into the fenders there. Pretty nicely restored tractor, it looks like. Looks like they've got a fuel tank gauge on the cap there. Interesting that that's got the split badge decal on there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's supposed to be the two color one. Similar to the Super 44 that we'll get to here in just a moment, or like this tractor here, how it's just got the red and the green. I believe the split color decals were the earlier tractors. Pair of 440s and the Super 44. We'll hop over here. Nice 1800A. Really clean. Sheets Implement Sales, Wilshire, Ohio, 1975 to 1981. I'm wondering if that is probably the original dealer that, oh, I'm going to say that it probably was, because it's like Brett Sheets is the owner of this tractor. I'm going to say that him and his family own that dealership, and that's probably where this tractor sold brand new from. And it is a diesel. Straight shaft, no 2-speed. An 88 diesel. We have one of these sitting at home that's got a motor locked up in it. Another 70, 60. Hop over here real quick, catch these guys. 1755. With the 3-speed hydraulic shift, over under. Like to get me a pair of these slab weights and then the starter in a stack like that. Kind of similar to this, but I want an extra slab. 1750 diesel. So 50, 55. Another 1755. A Super 77. Looks to be a fairly straight tractor, all in all. Here is this is a 56 Oliver Super 88. And unlike the one that we looked at over just a moment ago, this is the early Supers with the green wheels. They don't have the Oliver embossed into the side of the fender there. Hop back across the aisle to catch this Super 66 single front or vegetable front, depending on what part of the country you're from. And this is a diesel as well, so this is probably a pretty rare tractor if I had to guess. I don't see too many Super 66 diesels, and probably don't see too many of them with a single front tire. Here's a Super 66 diesel with a wide front and wheel weights and fender extensions. 1550 diesel high crop. It's got a 2-speed hydropower. Some great big, almost like rice tires on there. It's kind of crazy to see how these high crops are all put together with the drop down axles and the linkage system that they use to be able to turn these things. Or even like the reduction boxes that they have to get the center shaft to go through the hub there on the rim and tire. Another Super 44. We got a 770 with a standard front end on it. back down this way. It's a really nice show here in Auburn, and this year they're featuring Oliver. I've got 4 of them myself, a pair of 77s and 88, and a nice 1850 I just picked up.
Oh, the guy came up and
550 special. Now, I was talking to Chris, and he said that he had painted, I believe he said he painted this tractor, and this has the Euclid green, because the gentleman has a 1750 or an 1850, or maybe both specials. The 550 was just still the clover white, even if it was a special. It didn't have that special kind of almost pea green color on it, but he wanted it to match his other tractors, and that's what he got. This has what would be like an industrial front end on it, non-adjustable, and it's actually a little bit heavier front end, but that was one way they saved money. Said usually they don't have remotes, but they plumbed into this one and probably added it after the fact. And this has actually got a 2-bottom rollover plow, model 6241. Kind of neat to see. You don't see too many of those. At least not that I could say I've ever seen one before. You got a Oliver decal on the cylinder there. A later 770. It's got the fiberglass checkerboard front grille and name spears. Oliver power unit. Got the Rockford. Looks like a 188 power unit, so I'm assuming that's an 88 size engine, Waukesha. That's probably what that is equivalent to. And I just use these as power units. Kind of interesting that they used the little pancake style muffler on these. And then Hart Par 70. This is probably a little bit later Hart Par line, because the Oliver is bigger than Hart Par. The early Hart Par Olivers, the Hart Par was bigger than the Oliver portion on the grill. Super 99 diesel. Super 88. Looks to be another improved Super. Yep, got the Oliver embossed in there on the fender. Oliver Super 44. There's quite a few of these here today. Super 55. 770. Pretty nice and clean 770. See, like this 550 here, got the clover white grill, the adjustable front axle, bolt holes to adjust. Looks like this still just has a single remote on these. We have a 244 white Oliver industrial. So you got the industrial front axle on this guy, like that 550 special. Super 55. See what we got down this other aisle I missed earlier. We do have a couple of oddballs in the main arena here. We have a Massey Harris 44 with a almost like a demonstrator seat on there. It's two-person. I'm assuming this is, here's a WD or WD-45. I'm not real keen on the Alice's, so I don't know too much about them. 2150, and I feel like this is probably a cockshut originally, but I'm not sure. I know the serial number would be up underneath there on the dash, but judging by how much red is coming through on this thing, I'm guessing that somebody along the way decided that they'd rather have an Oliver, and that's why they painted it green and changed out the decals. But I would hazard a guess that this is probably originally a cockshut. Not that there's any difference, it's purely just color and nameplates for the most part. But you don't see too many of them in the red, that's for sure. And a really clean 2050, which is just a little brother to the 2150, non-turboed Hercules diesel. Looks like it called Napoleon, Ohio home at one point in time. Looks like a great big auxiliary fuel tank, outside of having the fender fuel tanks like the 2150 over there. Really nice Oliver canopy. $1959 880. Got a great big old chrome stack on this guy. I imagine they probably enlarged the hole in the hood to make that happen. Probably a pulling tractor if I had to guess, with those brackets there for adding additional weight on it to make whatever class you're trying to do. And it's got the pressed steel rims on it, so that would make sense. 1365. I know Ross, the Oliver man, has quite a few of these Fiat tractors. He's grown kind of fond of the little Italian tractors and all their kind of little niches and differences. Got a Co-op E5 diesel. This is another tractor I've just never seen in person before. I've seen Co-ops, but I've never seen one that's solid orange, and definitely don't see too many that are diesel. Cockshut 570. I have seen a couple of these before. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the serial number on these guys. They just stamp them in the frame. (1962) model. Definitely an interesting tractor. 1750 diesel. Came from Van Wert, Ohio, according to the dealer decal, or at least it had made a stop there at one point in time in its life. And these are not Fiats, but they're, I don't know, they're not David Browns, they're something along that line. I've got it on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. Just another outsource of utility tractors that Oliver did after discontinuing the 550, I believe. And this is an 1850 diesel. With a Perkins still in it. I believe one of those 1750 or 55s over there had a Cummins conversion in it when I walked by. Looks like this may be probably a little older restoration, or just something to clean it up. some decent paint. You can see there's little spots where definitely still a working tractor, so probably just did it to clean it up a little bit and be able to take it to some shows. Yeah, that's the main feature here at the Auburn HPOCA tractor show. They've featuring Oliver this year, and the HPOCA is down here with many of the different groups and chapters and kind of showing off these tractors, and got some vendors here selling parts and going through different things for guys. Yeah, there's this 55 here that had the Cummins conversion. They have these brackets that I believe they drill into the frame to mount these. Looks like it's got a Holley, probably electronic fuel pump to help prime the system, I would guess. Definitely see a few of these Cummins conversions in these 55 series. Not really so much the 17s. Usually it's the 18s and 19s, because those had issues with the turbos. They usually vent holes in the block. These guys pushed them too hard, but I guess, you know, 310's got a bad rap, and this one probably need overhauled, and they just decided to throw a Cummins in it. But yeah, that is what we've got here at the 2026 Auburn Tractor Show for the main feature. Real nice group of tractors. And some pretty nice people. I met Chris here for the first time, and didn't see Ethan or Ross. Ross wasn't able to make it as he had a personal event that he was attending today, but seen a couple of people down from my area that have Olivers. They made the trip down, and nice to see those guys here and see them out and about. No, I believe I was talking to the owner of this tractor, and he said that all 24 of these were made, it sounds like they were made in back-to-back days. There was 10 made the first day and 14 made the second day. None of these came with a 2-speed. They were all straight shaft. And I'm kind of curious as to what the drive was for Moline to do that for these tractors. I know they had a 650, which would have been, I believe, the same as the 16. I don't know if that's the same as a 1650, or this is the same as a 1555. The 650 I think would be the same as a 1655, and 750 is the same as a 1755, and so on and so forth. I think they did up to the 850. I don't know if they did a 950 or not. And this would be the big brother to that guy, just in green. Some of the different vendors. We got Corvettes here, Steers, Oliver Tractor Parts and Service. And we've got Lynch down here. They do great reproduction sheet metal for most of the Olivers. A lot of the 70s, 60s, 77s, Super 77s. Basically all the fleet lines and supers for the most part. I don't know if they get much into the double aughts and 50 series, but they do offer quite a bit of sheet metal. But yeah, nice overall exhibit. And if you haven't checked out either Chris Losey, that Oliver guy, or Ethan's channel, Oliver Farm Boy 66, there's an Oliver 66 Farm Boy, forget how he has that typed out, and then also Ross the Oliver Man. They're all great channels and all have different taste and personality, but I think they all have a great way of showing either fixing things or showing these tractors working. So I would strongly suggest you go subscribe to those guys and enjoy their content as well as mine, and just kind of support the community and help grow each other and enjoy all these tractors and as they were made many years ago. Alrighty, well, I think I'm going to sign off here. This has been Simple Farms here at the Auburn Tractor Show 2026.